Hello, brother.
Hello, Sean. How's it
How
going?
are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How about you?
Awesome, awesome. I'm actually a little caught off guard here, Elijah. You have a button-up shirt on with the collar.
Don't act like you've never seen me wear a collar. Where you might not have actually.
I have never seen you wear a collar. I have never seen you wear a collar.
It's
So,
it's it's my new professional look for any sort of video calls. Just throw on a collar. Just takes it up a
oh,
notch.
it takes it. Now you make me look like I've dressed down here. I'm like I don't have a collar on because he never wears a collar. Um, Well, awesome. I am so excited for us to do this today. And for those that are going to be listening in or listen to it afterwards, because we are going to discuss a pretty hot topic right now in the world, um, this thing called AI. And, is AI really real? Is it really going to stay around? And you and I've had a lot of conversations about it. And we actually, titled this event, uh, which was like this crazy little event thing. We title it When AI Steps Up, the Human Centered Shift in Experience Design. So taking your expertise in AI and technology and my expertise in experience design and what we talk about the experience ecosystem um, to really start to talk about what that looks like. And we've worked together on some projects. But before we dive into all of that, we start the same question. I start every live with this, and it's simple. Why do you do what you do, and what keeps you motivated as you do it?
That's a question for me, Sean.
That's a question for you.
All right. Got a lot to unpack there. So I've been in technology for 28 years. And it probably started with a childhood fascination of science fiction, growing up on Star Wars and Battlestar Galactica and all of that. And lo and behold, I found myself in a career working in robotics. And I did that for 10 years. And it was a very fun job. You get to go inside of all these factories and solve problems using automation. Everything from making rockets to cars, did a lot of Tesla automation work. Um, and, after a while, you feel like you've been inside just about every factory. And I was doing this from Silicon Valley. And this is back when Silicon Valley actually made things like robots and chips and disk drives. Now they make things, but nobody can feel them or touch them. It's all software. But I was in that area still while this was all going on. So I never really, outside of motion control, had a firm grip on what was happening with the internet as in large and Web 2.0. So I began my entrepreneurial journey actually in CPG, started an energy drink company. But in the middle of all that, you had platforms like Shopify coming up. So we were one of the first Shopify sites. You had Facebook business pages going live, right? Before you even had an ad platform on Meta, now Facebook then. You could just kind of grow awareness through these business pages. So we really dove into that as well as content marketing. And so that was my bridge into the software world of things, which was just such a broader universe than the hardware side. So it got really exciting. So after that, companies sold. The most exciting part for sure was just dealing with the digital aspect of it and not, dozens of expiring ingredients on some pallet in a random warehouse. That part was awful. And so, I just started to lean into that more and started this agency that's now been around for 14 years. So for that time, we have been building enterprise software, a lot of native mobile apps, website design, which bigger discussion, but I feel like that's going to start going away pretty soon, or at least look a lot different than it has the last 10 years. And as far as what keeps me excited and motivated about that is that it is just one of those roles that is changing all the time. And it might have felt a little more on the stale side in the last well, not last 5 years, but let's go back and discount the last few years before that. Kind of felt a little like the same old, same old. And now everything has changed. Like the entire world has changed. And you and I have had this private discussion. I actually considered just retiring. And what changed my mind was that I'm so convinced that AI is going to materially change the entire world in just about every vertical you can imagine, including our personal lives, that I don't want to miss it. I feel like I've been waiting for this moment since I was 5 years old. And now I don't want to miss it.
I love it. I love it. And yeah, I mean, there's so much to unpack there. Yeah, we've had lots of discussions around this, Elijah, and we've had a lot of discussions around how is this impacting personal life, business lives. You and I have talked about it, on your health journey, on my cancer journey, how we've used it and how actually AI helped diagnose me with a condition that we found
Right.
through my journey and how to find my clinical studies.
Right.
So I love it, and I'm so happy for it. So I've been doing a lot of reading and research on it because I'm honest with the audience here. I am not the one who has all the technical expertise. So I'm learning probably just as fast as anyone else. And you were talking about website design, I hired website designers to do
Right.
websites for me. Even this morning, I was using ChatGPT 5 saying, how do I do this on this platform using WordPress? And all of a sudden, 3 seconds later, it gave me the code. I dropped it
Right.
in and it was right there. So sorry, graphic designers and web designers, you're getting taken out of the world by us, ChatGPT years.
I think that brings up a really good point, Sean. And that is the fact that, and because we had this discussion about your website and website design, and I'd done an audit for you, right? And that audit that I did was a result of 14 years of looking at this stuff. And so I think one misconception is that AI is going to take everybody's jobs, and especially creatives are freaked out, or they have been hesitant to even start using it because they feel like it's somehow diluting their creative juice. And, oh, I'm not going to use the machines to do creative output. I'm not going to use that to write or draft UX or UI. The reality is, all those people with all those years of experience are now going to be the ones who can best leverage these tools, right? And that really kind of goes across everybody for every industry. It really doesn't matter if you have spent your career in CX or in design or in writing or in video editing or a developer, even, right? Now you are going to be the 10x version of what you were. It's like having an entire team of assistants with PhDs for free at your fingertips, right? That's the immediate future we're looking at, right? But as you know, even with GPT and you going through your website, you'd still have to probably ask somebody like me or a designer and say, well, what do you think of this? How does this look? What do you think of this UX, right? Because these models are really good at giving you what you want. They want to make you happy, right? And that's part of the problem with hallucinations. They want it so much, they'll lie to you sometimes, right? But when it comes to a career spent in one pursuit and being really good at something, it's now just giving people a bunch of tools to be even better and more productive.
Yeah. And so obviously, for those again listening and joining in, Elijah at Spark6 and myself from the Nation Group, we announced a couple weeks ago this partnership together around how do we still keep the human in the loop in the midst of AI. And one of the things that I read just recently in the past couple of weeks is this statement that McKinsey research shows AI can accelerate R&D and deliver nearly $500 billion in annual value. And the thing that caught my attention with that, Elijah, is this. I have recently worked for a company. You did some work for them as well, and other companies out there, where what was being sold is we're going to use AI and the AI strategy as a cost reduction. We can have less human capital. We
Right.
can quit doing less of this. But this statement that says that this AI can accelerate R&D and deliver nearly $500 billion in annual value flips the case to me on AI and return on investment. Because no, it's not about cost reduction. It's actually about revenue generation and how you can do things bigger and better. What are your thoughts around that?
Got a lot of thoughts around that. The first one is I'm always really careful about these bold statements that a McKinsey or another massive consultancy puts out. But generally speaking, kind of back to this fear that AI is going to take everybody's jobs and it's going to replace them, right? When the real answer for what is going to happen in 6 months, what's going to happen in a year, is that nobody knows. Nobody exactly knows, right? But we can look at trends. We can see what's starting to happen. And what's starting to happen is we've always seen some level of attrition at all of these different companies in every vertical. And people leave, they go get other jobs, and then those companies backfill those jobs from the people that have left. If those companies are growing, that means more companies are hiring, more people are getting jobs. The trend we're seeing right now is that we still have attrition. People are going, they're finding better fits elsewhere. But the problem is, once people leave, these companies aren't really hiring in at the same rate that they used to. And that's a bit of a canary in the coal mine, right? And it's difficult to connect the dots as to why, but some compelling data is starting to come out that shows that it is because the people who are there are now so much more effective with these AI tools. They don't need the same amount of headcount, right? Now, when you talk about creating tons of additional market value and these exponential growth factors of R&D because of AI, of course, that is still going to require more human capital at some point. Back to that whole human in the loop for all of this. It's all the talk about agents. I don't know if you want to start getting into that as well. There's always been this this tightrope walk of the hype and the reality of what's happening with AI. Right now, the agent stuff is kind of erring towards hype. It's very cool. It can do some powerful stuff, but we're not quite at that point where we have a single person managing a team of 100 AI agents that are acting like a human workforce. And I'll throw in yet, like, who knows? Things are moving quick. That could be a couple years down the road. It could be 5 years down the road. Hard to tell right now.
Well, and here's my title here is Chief Experience and Innovation Officer, right? Here's the experience piece that I still struggle with AI, and I'll give 2 stories. I just wrote a blog in my newsletter, Experience Matters, around this, and then we'll dive into 3 categories here. There's been this whole, Salesforce with their sales agent thing,
Right.
and there's these Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey commercials that are hysterical. But
Yeah.
the one that actually caught my attention recently, where I'm like, this is where AI is being used, could be used, right, is over thermostats in your home,
Okay.
right? And in this commercial, Woody Harrelson, he's in a winter jacket in his house. It's nice and cool. There's a tech working on it. Everything's going great. In Matthew McConaughey's house, there's 100 fans. He's sweating. He's in shorts. There's no tech. He's stuck on a phone talking to an AI bot. Perfect example to me of where this agent thing that you're just talking about becomes really relevant.
Right.
When I am calling in as a customer, from an experience standpoint, the last thing I want to do, if my thermostat is broken, is to talk to a bot. I want to talk to a live agent, tech, something to get my house and my air conditioner back working. Now, what they're doing in the commercials, they're showing how you can use AI, that when the thermostat breaks, it actually triggers a service call and the technician shows up at your house.
Right.
I love it, right?
Yeah.
I would love that. I don't want to when I'm in the middle of, and in the experience world, this is what's happened. And I talk to a lot of people in customer experience, customer success, all of that. What's happened is they're trying to use it as a replacement for people in the wrong step in the customer journey.
Right.
You just, I'm sorry, you don't, in my opinion, you don't want to do that. So, one of the topics we talked about, we put 3 topics out here that we would talk about. When AI elevates. So, in your opinion, what does smooth, anticipatory support that feels human and builds trust look like when AI elevates?
Right. Let's start with the most obvious. And that is when you don't even know AI is being implemented. That's the best, right? When it's seamlessly running in the background. I think let's go with this thermostat example. I think that's really good. So with the thermostat, if all of a sudden it detects that my compressor isn't turning on and I'm sweating my ass off, and all of a sudden I get a call from my local repair guy that I've got contracted. It says, hey, notice your compressor's out and it's 107 degrees out. We can be out there in 30 minutes. How's that? Right? That's amazing because I have AI running in the background of that thermostat connected to APIs, which my service contractor has the hooks into, and they're just notified and they know. So all this AI is happening in the background. I'm not even aware of it, right? Then you have the other kind of AI that's a little more in your face, and we can use the same use case. I don't know. I don't even want to say her name, but the Amazon assistant that you yell for, because I don't want everybody's house to start beeping, have recently tried to roll out the plus version of that. And it's been going horribly. And it's gone about as well as, you had mentioned Salesforce and Agentforce sitting on top of it, right? Where you have this kind of old legacy clunky software, was great back in the day, 2.0 era. Now it's not as sexy because you have all of these generative large language models, right? So what they try to do is just shove one on top of the other, and it ends up not being such a great experience. So with this rollout, all the things that we used it for on this version now stop working, like your kitchen timer doesn't work or the alarm clock doesn't work, so it's not so great. And that's the AI in your face type thing where you are directly talking to it. I mean, for that reason, I'm changing all my home automation stuff. I'm going with basically a AI native version of all this, like built for the right way. But when it's running in the background, that's the best way. But where I'd push back on the customer experience part of this is that, well, I mean, really, it's attuned to what you're saying. It's time and place, right? It's having the human in the loop to even know where there is a smart place to implement this. And I think the great hope, and this goes for all of AI, not just customer experience, would be that your people are freed up from the mundane tasks that are really just pushing pixels on a screen and picking up phones and answering repetitive phone calls or being on chat and answering repetitive answers. And instead they're to really have this top-notch concierge level of customer experience. Because listen, the reality is we've both been in big enterprise organizations before and run teams before. You only have X number of talented people to deploy in a certain area, and you want to deploy them where they are going to have the highest impact, right? So let's take that calling the number and being stuck in some phone tree type example. This just happened to me a week ago. I was coming back from Mexico and checking a couple of bags, and agent looks up at me and says, "Oh, your passport says Elijah." I'm like, "Yeah, that's my name." Well, your ticket here says Eli. I'm like, "Oh, well, it's short for Elijah." He said, "Yeah, well, you're traveling to another country, so that doesn't work." I'm like, "Oh, how about you just change it?" I can't do that from here. I'm like, "Oh, okay." He said, "You can just buy another ticket." I'm like, "I'm not buying another ticket." That's not going to happen because we're missing 3 letters here. And so he said, "Well, you can call customer service." Awesome. Call Delta and, immediately go into the phone tree that we all hate, right? And you're pressing the buttons and you're in an airport, so it's not even hearing the tones. So you're like, screaming operator into your phone. I finally get to the point where I will be connected to an agent and it's a 25-minute wait. Flight leaves in an hour. And I'm sitting there and you're basically holding this ticking time bomb of, okay, I'm going to miss my flight because I can't even talk to somebody. And the whole time I'm thinking, I would love an AI agent right now that could ask me a few verification questions to confirm my identity and just add these damn 3 letters to my ticket so I can get on my plane. I don't need a human, right? I don't need a human. I'm like, where's Delta AI? Come on, guys. So I think it really is this kind of it's a design conundrum, right? And what you have is poor design when it's being shoved on the front end of things where, for example, you're going through all of these medical trials and tribulations. Everybody, even for the tiniest little swerve out of your healthcare, knows how much bureaucracy and red tape and everything else you have to deal with, right? There are times where it's like you just need the answer, you need to get to where you need to be, and there are other times where you really need to speak to somebody, right? You need that human. And it's not just the answer, but it's the reassurance, it's the expertise, it's the connection, right? So that's where the design part comes in, where you really have to know where it makes sense to deploy something that's going to be helpful. That's the key word here, right? Like what's helpful.
Well, yeah, and that's I put the words up here. We talked about when AI elevates, but when AI alienates
Right.
too, right? So I loved your example. I laugh at your example with Delta because you and I have had this conversation. You hate to fly, you hate to travel.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you don't have a loyalty program.
You don't have like the hotline that you can just like pick up the bat phone and talk to somebody.
I'm Diamond. I pick up the phone, and usually within a minute, I have someone on the telephone. And so next time you have that, Eli, just call me, and I'll call them for you.
You call Delta. You're my AI.
And they will fix I'll be your Delta AI for you. But I mean, I think that's a perfect example, right? Like that, and then this whole healthcare thing. Like we could do a whole show on healthcare around,
right?
Like when are the right moments for it to be used in healthcare, and when it isn't not the right moment. And I can tell you, as going through cancer for my 3rd time, and treatments, when I'm going through that stuff, AI is not the right time.
Right.
Right? Like I don't want that. And that's where it alienates in a big way. Like I fought for a week trying to get a prescription done, and I got caught in that damn customer service loop.
Yeah.
And I just want to talk to a freaking person. Like, and then you get a person, and then they send you, and you get put back in the loop again. So,
yeah, I think it's worth mentioning the divide of why you might need a person, right? Because in this instance, we're talking about 2 very specific reasons. One is I need an answer, right? And if you can't get the answer because of whatever funky phone tree or logic or AI that company has deployed, then that's a product problem, right? If you need to have human connection and speak to somebody that only a human, at least today, can deliver, right? Then that's a different need. That's a connection need, right? And I think that's also really important to consider when designing these customer experiences.
Yeah, well, and that's the 3rd topic we had put out there was designing for presence.
There we go, right into it. Look at that.
Right? Like it's a design aspect. And unfortunately, and you and I have seen this a lot, Eli, a lot. Like companies, and for those of you that's listening, you see I'm sitting in a hotel room, Eli's at home, but we're actually like 15 minutes from each other because I'm actually in Salt Lake City today with Eli, and we're going to be working the rest of the day talking about what does CX in AI look like, and how do you design in that customer journey, how do you make that happen so that it is designed with the right UX UI experience from a tech, technology standpoint? That's what, but also then how do you design, for the right places? And I actually put this question together of how must AI be paired with empathy, intention, and real human oversight?
Yeah, and I think that it's so early in this world of customer experience and AI implementation is that unfortunately what most people see, including me, including you, we've talked about this, is just a very poor implementation of getting caught in a loop, right? Begging for a human to jump in, because however the logic was structured, it didn't allow you to do that early enough, right? So whatever intelligence was there, if any, and I think one thing to clear up is when people think about these support chatbots, it wasn't very long ago that it was just a logic tree, right? If the customer says this, then reply this. If they say that, then reply this. If they reply with option C, well, just ask them the same question again because we don't have an option C, right? And that's where you start getting caught in these loops, which is awful.
And that's when I start doing this.
Oh, it's the worst. It's
Right?
it's the worst. Or I just put all caps. Give me a damn human agent.
Yes.
So I think as this changes, and it is changing so quickly, like so quickly. I mean, we're already so far beyond chat, and we're in the world of companies like 11 Labs and voice agents, and the latency getting so short that it really does feel like you're talking to an incredibly smart human who has all the answers. And then before you know it, we're going to be on video just like this. And the next time you interview me, you're just going to be talking to my avatar. It's not even going to be me. I'll just review the recording later. But so that's where we're headed. We're not there yet with any of this, including just the chat part of it. Like, I haven't seen any real brilliant deploys of this just yet. So what needs to happen is, when architecting this stuff, you have to hedge and kind of bet towards earlier handoff, right? And this is back to that whole human in the loop conversation. If you play the game conservatively and you really try to at least use this to route that user to the most appropriate person on the other side, that in itself is a really great use, right? Unfortunately, what usually happens is a company will deploy this and think of it as the be all end all solution and say, oh, we used to have 200 customer support people. Now we have 5 because we've got this amazing chat intelligence. It's not amazing. It doesn't work. The 5 people get overloaded, and it ends up that by design, you can't really get connected to them because there's not enough of them, right?
Well, and guess
So,
what? Studies are starting to show, and I actually wrote a little bit about this either last week or the week before. Although I'm not a huge Net Promoter Score fan, people that know me know I don't love it at all. But people are starting to see NPS scores taking a dive
right.
because it's been a check the box thing, right? And so I'm going to do some shameless plugging for Spark6 and Nason Group and why we came together to collaborate. And it's really because what you have seen on one side is AI implemented bad, poorly, wrong products, all of that. What I've seen on the Nason Group side is because of that implementation being bad, wrong products, everything, the customer journey is so bad and the experience is bad. And so what you and I said is, well, let's bring our companies together and let's do this right, and let's help organizations come together, and let's do an assessment of those organizations, and let's get them on the right path. So why is that so important in your mind that this needs to take place?
It's because there are just entirely different disciplines out there that need to come together to make this work. And I think where it has gone off the rails, and we've seen very poor expressions of this, is when somebody in leadership waves their hand and says, AI is here. Let's get rid of most of our CX team because we can just put this bot there. Right? We're just going to do that. Who's going to put the bot there? Technical team, right? Does the technical team have any business really architecting customer experience? Probably not. Probably not. It's the very reason why inside of our organization for software development, we have a very specific rule that developers are not allowed to make design considerations, right? If something comes back in a project where a design has to be changed, it's a little bit of a pain, but even if that designer had signed off and it's gone in for implementation, we've got to open that loop back up. The designer has to come back because we're not going to let the developer who spent his entire career coding make a design consideration. And the technical team shouldn't be saying what a good customer experience should be, right? They shouldn't just be able to either create or fire up some web service and plug it into the organization and say, oh, great. Here's these answers, and this is how this should work. Oh, cool. We have grade A customer experience now. That's not how it's going to work. And it kind of bringing this full circle to the opening of our conversation, just because you have GPT, it's not going to make you a good designer. It's just going to let you do things that you couldn't do before and get stuff out there, right? Just because somebody has some chatbot tools at their disposal doesn't mean that they're going to create an amazing customer experience. It's just not going to happen.
It's funny. One of the comments that has come through today, and I love this from a friend of mine, Jason Fonder. Great points for you, Elijah. Now instead of spending 15 minutes trying to format a slide, I spend 20 seconds in AI getting it right and 14 more minutes using my time to make the work more interesting and better.
Exactly.
He couldn't have said it any better to what you just said, right?
Yeah. I mean, and that's exactly it. It's freeing up your time, your team's time, your organization's time with the mundane pushing of pixels that are better suited for a robot so that you can actually focus on the things that you do best. I mean, and that is it in a nutshell, including customer experience.
Now, I have to say, though, Eli, I did enjoy, you were a huge portion of creating my AI avatar that I could ask myself all kinds of intelligent questions, and I could speak in like 10 different languages.
Right. It's always useful.
It's right. Maybe someday we'll show that to some of our listeners, because I don't think this is the first time, but definitely not the last time we're going to be addressing this and what this affects. So, as we close up, dude, where do people need to get a hold of you? How, personally, how do they get in contact with you? Spark6, all of that.
Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed to say I publish to LinkedIn 7 days a week. Lots of AI leadership and product content. I also publish a newsletter on AI as far as just kind of actionable insights and things that you can try every week. That's called AI Framework Friday. Website is spark6.com. You can sign up for that newsletter there, and you can also find me. And there's also links to my LinkedIn there, which is just the LinkedIn/Elijah Szasz. You'll see the spelling in here because you'll never remember it if you try to just do it that way.
No, I love it. And same for me, those that have known, go out on LinkedIn, go to nascentgroup.co. You're going to see even, my philosophy and my mindset, fell fast, fell forward, fell cheap. I'm redesigning the Nascent Group website as we speak, page by page. So some of it's clunky, some of it's working good. And I have my ChatGPT and Eli helping me do it. But yeah, we're excited to partner together and help make this a little easier for everybody. So
I'll throw this out there too, Sean. I love what you're doing because it's what I always encourage people to do. Even if listen, I'd never say, hey, Sean, you know what? You should start going into web design. That's a booming industry to get into, right? Big future. But to basically start with a pain point like there's something you need and it's frustrating having to call people to figure it out because you want to move quickly. And you have this tool set where you can not only get the thing that you want, but you can learn in that journey. That is the absolute best way to boost your AI literacy, is to pick these tools up, try to solve problems, and you'll learn so much.
Yeah, I love it. All right, man. Well, we'll be back for our listeners in a couple weeks and let them know what's happening in the world of AI. So thanks, buddy.
Perfect. Thanks, Sean. Talk soon. See ya.